if you're lactose intolerant, you can't watch this movie because it's got so much cheese.
Sorry, yeah, I gotta go. You guys can do this on your own.
Nope, end it there. You agree 100%. I'm right. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Flix Fellas. I'm your host, Joe Motto, and with me today are my co-hosts, James and Kevin. Say hello, fellas.
Hello, fellas.
Hello, fellas. Oh, we both went for the same joke. We can't do that.
Classic. No, that's staying. Today, we are reviewing the Netflix original movie, The Two Popes, released in 2019, directed by Fernando Meirelles, written by Anthony McCartan, and of course, starring Anthony Hopkins as Pope Benedict XVI and Jonathan Pryce as Cardinal Bergoglio, who later becomes more commonly known as Pope Francis. The Two Popes is a movie that takes place behind Vatican walls, focusing on how the conservative Pope Benedict XVI and the liberal future Pope Francis must find common ground to forge a new path for the Catholic Church. This movie was nominated for 3 Academy Awards in 2020, unfortunately did not take home any wins, and still remains relatively unknown by the average movie watcher, which is why we are here today reviewing it. Let's start off with some first reactions, and I actually have a prompt for you guys that I want you to end with. Kevin, we'll go to you first. What were your first reactions on this? And then answer this question. Do you need to be Catholic to enjoy this movie?
That is an awesome question. My first reactions, I thought it was good. I think that it was kind of a slow burn, so you have to be ready for that. But I enjoyed it. I was intrigued by some of the content in there that I didn't really know much about. I think it's based on like it's based, quote unquote, based on true story. But yeah, I thought it was really good. Do you have to be Catholic to watch this movie? As I was watching it, I was thinking about that too. Is this like will other people, will people who aren't Catholic enjoy this movie? I think if you have any kind of interest in the how do you say it, the papacy or the papacy? Papacy?
It's papacy.
Papacy?
I went to Catholic University, guys.
yeah, James, the resident Catholicism expert. No, I think there is. That's a really great question. It's such a thinker question. I'll say this: I think if this stuff kind of this crazy higher power of the Catholic Church, like the inner workings and kind of the papacy intrigues you, I think it's a good watch. I think you're able to watch it. If you have no interest in that and you have no ties to the Catholic Church, I kind of lean towards the why would you watch it. But anybody else chime in? James, what were your first reactions?
All right, so first reactions to the movie is I found it very intriguing, especially that it definitely seems like it seems like a Catholic movie, but it's almost like a Catholic. It's like a history movie with like a Catholic skin. You know what I mean? And I really enjoyed the current events and the personal histories that they kind of get into of the two main characters, in addition to kind of their they show you kind of the chronological build, and they tell you what years things are happening in, and My biggest takeaway I want to say from this movie is that I feel when I went to Catholic school for most of my life, I'm not necessarily the most, I'm not the best Catholic, but what's it called? It's a very humanizing movie. You know what I mean? You think is you know what I mean? Because I feel like when normal people think of the Pope, it's almost like a holier than thou. You know what I mean? It's a because not only are they the head of Vatican City and they are a world leader, but they're the head of a very something that has been powerful since the beginning of time. You know what I mean? And or at least for 2,000 years. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a very good to get into your question, Joey. Do you need to be Catholic to enjoy this movie? Again, I may be biased. You know what I mean? Again, I'm not I've just had a lot of Catholic influence in my life. I'm not necessarily the best Catholic, but I do think that the Pope isn't just a Catholic figure. He's also a world figure. You know what I mean? And just for the sake of getting kind of a look behind how does this actually work? I found that interesting just as a person. You know what I mean? So I think that it is a very good movie, even if you're not Catholic. So.
Okay. So my first reactions were also very similar to both of yours, that it was a very good movie, very slow burn. That was the exact wording that I had thought of, that it could have been probably 20, 25 minutes less, gotten the same story across, sped it up a little bit. But it was very intriguing. It was a very good story, not super climactic as we know the story, as it's only a few years old. It's current events. To answer the question I posed myself, I don't think you need to be Catholic to enjoy this movie. I think it definitely helps. But I think from the very beginning, they get you excited. Like, they make Dancing Queen references. There's a lot of theatrics to it, dramatics. It's exciting. It's fun. And then there's also a historical aspect to it that I wasn't expecting. I wasn't really going into it thinking I would learn about any Argentinian history nonetheless. But they do bring that up. And as James said, it is more of a historical movie with a Catholic skin to it. So I don't think you need to be Catholic to enjoy it. I think it definitely helps because you have some background into it or relevance and knowledge. But that was my first reaction and my personal take.
Do you guys remember when Benedict stepped down? I remember them voting for Pope Francis, but like I can't remember how much drama and what. Like I remember like them diddling kids.
Yeah.
Like everybody knows that. But like, and that's what's starting to come to light. Yeah. But you guys were in Catholic high school.
I've only ever gone to Catholic school, so yes, I was in Catholic school when that happened.
Yeah, it was big news. Every teacher had to turn on the news right away, essentially, stop class, figure out what's going on, what is happening, why is he dying, is he dead, is there a scandal that's about to break out, and nobody really knew. So it was popular. We did know about it right away, kind of.
I remember my very specific reaction, and like this again may attest to the like James has gone to Catholic school but isn't really a strong Catholic. I remember like somebody coming in, they're like, "Oh, the Pope's stepping down." I'm like, didn't we just get him? Like, isn't he? I remember this being like a thing like a year or two ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
we grew up with just Pope John Paul II as the guy, and he was there forever.
Yeah.
And
everybody loves Pope John Paul.
Literally earth, wind, and fire to knock him down. So we expected the same thing with Benedict. You know, it's all you know. You expect it to be a 20-plus year sentence or position holding. Obviously, people die young, but when you hear someone stepping down, which hasn't been done in centuries from this position, it's interesting. Mm-hmm. Okay, so with that, do you guys have any last comments to make before we go into our next section? Okay, let's take a quick word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back with the spoiler section of the show. Okay, welcome back. If you have not watched the movie and you would plan to, I would recommend potentially pausing the podcast now or stopping and coming back to it after you finish watching, because we're about to get into some heavy spoilers. Unless you like spoilers, then please feel free to listen on. So...
I'm sorry, can I interrupt you for a second, Joe? I feel like this, I feel like the spoiler part of this, like even if you haven't seen the movie, like...
You should kind of know.
Oh, yeah, this is a true story.
Like, this actually happened. So, like, if you haven't looked at, like, if you have never paid attention to it, then you might
Surprise,
get some
Pope Francis is
What?
Yeah, no, the spoilers in this movie are more so about the background conversations that happen that we don't know if they're true or not. We don't know how they exactly went down, but the overarching story of Pope Benedict being a conservative choice and Pope Francis being a more liberal choice as Pope, and the whole stepping down controversy and the scandal of, the Catholic Church for the last decade. This isn't news. This isn't spoiler specific to the movies. These are common things. So if you don't know about it, then maybe this isn't the movie for you because you don't know about current events. But I think that's also why you don't need to be Catholic to watch this movie, because it was very common current events around the world when this news broke about the diddling, as Kevin would say.
Yeah, I do like that. Like in this movie, they do a really like. First off, Jonathan Pierce, I saw the actor and it convinced me that was the Pope. I'm like, this,
The high priest?
the high priest,
The high
the
priest.
sparrow. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was,
Yeah,
Yeah,
High
the
Sparrow.
sparrow.
Thrones.
The high sparrow. Yeah.
No, I saw him and I was just like, did they CGI the Pope on this guy's face?
Oh, the resemblance from both of them is
Yeah.
uncanny. Like the
Uncanny.
makeup
It's
artist on this
ridiculous.
was
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
I think I had saw in the good old IMDb trivia. Although I don't know how accurate IMDb trivia is, but I still love to read it. But it did say something about the director only found out. I quote, director Fernando, how do you say that?
Mireles, I think.
Mireles only found out about Jonathan Pryce while looking up photos of Pope Francis
That's amazing.
online and saw side-by-side comparison photos of Pryce and
That's
Francis.
incredible.
Yeah.
So that's pretty hilarious. They do look exactly alike.
And I think he did a really good job too. Like he seemed like his cadence, his like, you know what I mean? Not that I know a ton about like Papa Frank, but like I don't know. Papa Frank. Yeah.
El Papa.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to start calling the Pope every time I say it. El Papa.
No, I don't know a bunch. Like I don't know a lot about him. You know, I know he's like a much more liberal, a much more like progressive Pope. But like just the way he carried himself was very like he seems like, you know what I mean? He seems like a cardinal. You know what I mean? Like he's like, you know, in the way that he carries himself.
He
and
seems
talks.
like a papal
Agreed.
figure, as in.
But like they do a good job in like the first, like kind of like going off of the, you know what I mean, like the sexual, like, you know what I mean, the molestations and shit like that. Like I thought they did a good job of like bringing that up, especially in like the awkwardness between like the two higher powers. Like there was like a very like crucial conversation that happened in like the early part of the movie where like, you know, Pope Pope Benedict and the Archbishop, or no, it's Cardinal. I don't exactly know how the titles work, but I know he's a Cardinal.
He's a Cardinal and an Archbishop,
Bergoglio.
right?
Yeah.
Bergoglio.
Cardinal Bergoglio and the Pope Benedict were talking, and essentially like Cardinal Bergoglio was like, listen, I'm trying to leave. You know what I mean? I want to leave the church because like I see all these things happening and I know from where I'm standing I can't fix it, you know? He's like, I still want to say mass and like tend to, you know what I mean, like shepherd my flock, you know. But I'm sorry. I'm misinterpreting. No, yeah. But he essentially wants to step down from like a position of power in the church because of like the fucked up shit that's going on, you know? And like I thought that was very well, like, because like again, it seems like there's like almost this like dismissal, because like he also describes, not to get into like the Catholicism of it, but he describes sin as like a wound instead of like a taint, or like a tainted, or like a stain. So it's like, yeah, I know. I can't stop halfway through that word. He just
Can
go
I
ahead, you go. Yeah,
chime in real quick on that though, because it's funny that he sees what's going on and he's like, I can't stand with the church anymore
because it's fucked up.
But his past that haunts him kind of is the opposite. He saw the mistakes that people were making and the dramatics of the governments, the regimes that were overthrowing, and he decided that he wanted to stick through it in the right way to be able to help people more so than he could if he was dead. So I'm surprised that he didn't have more of like conviction to be like, no, I can change this from the inside and not just be a bystander. I was a little surprised by that.
I think at least the way I interpreted it and the way I saw it was that he had been trying to make those changes in the church, and like because they show how long he's been in that kind of role of like trying to fix those things, and like he hasn't been able to do it. So he's like, I'm not going, like, I can't get any further doing it in this role.
Plateaued.
And he can't, and he doesn't want to stay in that position where all this shit.
Where he has to be the yes man. You know what I mean? He has to be like, everybody else is like doing the stamp and pushing it through, but it's like, he's like, this is messed up. We need to raise the red flags. We need to take this person out, you know? Because you can't have this keep happening, you know? And it's because you're destroying people's lives, you know? Not only like in the cases, but in like the oppression of gay marriage and like the like you know what I mean like, there's a bunch of different topics that he's being like he's like we didn't have like like one of the quotes from the movie that I thought was really interesting and I looked up afterwards is like he's like we didn't have celibacy and priests until the year 500. You know what I mean? Like a lot of like Catholicism, like a lot of the current teachings are like adaptations of like religious books and religious scripture from like a long time ago, and like a bunch of scholars get together and they're like, oh, this is what we think this means. You know what I mean? Obviously, like,
Yeah, it's not like Jesus said, be celibate, don't marry. Like, it's interpretation that came hundreds, if not thousands of years later, in which, why he's saying we can change, we can be progressive, we can be more inclusive and not, we can treat people who are against us as, not against us, but differ from our views as they need our help more so than they don't deserve to celebrate with us. So, yeah. So I think I mean, as a Catholic, I do think he's been a positive asset to the church and righting the ship that was going on for decades. But let's change topics a little bit. Did anyone else get slight Curb Your Enthusiasm vibes from this movie?
I didn't watch much Curb Your Enthusiasm.
You
but
don't
I'm
need
kind
to,
of...
though. You just know what that vibe is, though. Like, when he's trying to book a flight and has no idea how to use Wi-Fi, and he's like, you
that
have a
was
cell
so
phone.
funny.
Of course you do.
I love those little clips.
There were so many great witty one-liners where it's just like, oh, the Pope is still human, and like he's just trying to figure out life
Agreed.
also.
Or when she hung up on him because when he was trying to book the flight and she's like, okay, funny. It reminds me of that like Tony Hawk tweet when he's like talking about how he booked a rental car.
And they're like, oh, are you related to Tony Hawk?
No, and then he says that he walked in and they're like they didn't believe that it was his reservation and like deleted the reservation because they thought someone was messing with them. They saw Tony Hawk and they were like, no, my Tony Hawk.
There's another story where he goes to, I forget what he was doing, he was on a plane or something with his kids, and he said his name was Anthony Hawk, and they were like, oh, any relation to the Tony Hawk?
The Tony
And
Hawk.
he was like, yeah, I'm related.
That's so funny.
Yeah. But yes, that made me chuckle about the flight. Did they voice over him speaking Spanish? Did you guys notice that? Like sometimes when he was speaking Spanish, like it didn't look like he was actually speaking Spanish.
I didn't get that. I was actually really impressed with both of their language and bilingual
I loved
abilities.
it. Yeah, I did love the
Multilingual
switching
abilities.
back and forth. Like they went from like Italian to Latin to Spanish to English to Latin to Spanish. Like it was very like, and like there was some German. It was because like the Pope Benedict was German, you know. And I liked how like I liked how in like the beginning sequence too, like they come into like this big room of like cardinals and like everyone's from like different nations. So you're like walking around and like everybody's speaking in different languages, and like it's very very cool.
I also like how at the end he's like, I can't be Pope because you don't know about my history, my past, or whatever. And he's like, oh, no, we know, whatever. And he's like trying to make it seem like a big deal. Meanwhile, he's talking to Pope Benedict, who grew up in Nazi Germany and is literally called a Nazi to this day. Like, it's like, I think you're okay.
Yeah. It's like everybody's got their past.
If I can do it, anyone can do it.
Yeah.
If a former Nazi can become
Yeah.
Pope.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Pope Benedict
He's
is
not a
not
former Nazi.
For the record.
Yeah, what are you
How dare you?
insinuating? Joe,
Don't spread rumors about. Don't spread rumors about. I heard a rumor. I didn't look it up beforehand. I don't want to say because I don't want to spread rumors. I was talking about somebody this like I watched the movie. I was talking about one of my friends, and he was like, "Didn't you know like Pope Benedict was a part of like Hitler Youth? Like, because that was a big thing. Like when you're a kid in Germany, like during that time."
I've heard that
I've
rumor.
also heard like, and I don't know if that's a rumor or that's just like me talking out of my ass. I'm not really sure, but like, you know, like I'm just like, I wish I looked that up beforehand, but you know,
We'll have a fact
yeah,
check
it's
on
one
this
of those things. Yeah, 100%. If anyone like once the 37 people watch this video and 30 of them tell me that I'm wrong, well, no. But what's it called? I feel like it was a very a big theme through this movie is it was a humanizing movie. Like it was like one of those things where it's like obviously they don't condone each other's actions, but they're just like, listen, there's like you're not perfect. You know what I mean? Nobody's perfect, and you have to do like sometimes life deals you like a hand that you have to make decisions, and the only thing you can do is move forward and try to fix things. You know.
On top of that, there was just also so much like relatable humor in it that like I was not expecting. Where, for example, the last scene where they're praying over the pizza, and Pope Francis is like hungry and ready to eat, and Pope Benedict just keeps praying, and he thinks like he's ready to go, and I'm like, this is literally the most relatable thing to any Catholic school student who just wants to get to lunch or get to snack class time, and the teacher won't stop praying.
Do you guys say grace before like lunch?
Yeah.
I think so.
Catholic school?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, we did.
Wild.
I forgot you
Yeah,
didn't go to
me
Catholic
and Joey
school.
went to the same Catholic school.
Yes, you say grace before lunch, and most teachers make you say it before snack.
I don't know if I said it before. I
Get
can't
out.
remember.
Morning prayer, end of day prayer.
I remember
there's a lot of
morning
prayers
prayer,
going
and I
on.
did that in high school too. That was like a big thing. It was like you like started your day with prayer. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So Joe, was that weird? Like in college, like you'd go to like eat food and not pray?
Honestly, like
Oh, he did.
Or just-
there was a big adjustment from
Yeah.
my high school. No, there was a lot of adjustments from high school to college. It just didn't occur to me. Like I went to an all-guys school and then going to class with girls. Like no, it didn't. I don't know. Everyone says like, "Oh, was that a big difference?" And it really wasn't. Maybe that's just me. I don't know.
I know. I mean, it's big. I did the same thing. Like we went to different like high schools, but like I also went from an all guys school to like college, which is all co-ed and stuff like that. And it's like I had a lot of friends that were girls in high school because I did theater, but like it was. I mean, college is its own monster, but like and I went to the Catholic University of America, so it was like they didn't make you say grace, but like there was a lot of people saying grace. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because Amanda, my girlfriend, started watching the last 20 minutes of the movie with me, and it's right when Pope Francis is getting voted into the papacy, and she was like, wait, what's going on? Like, what's this smoke situation? Why is so many people crowded? And I was like, oh, like, I get you're not Catholic and you're Christian and you don't, like, have the Pope as a figure, but it's funny to me that people don't know what that is, and that, like, the church can put on a show. They know how to entertain. They have all the aspects.
Did anyone else think that bowl thing was super inefficient?
What
The bowl
bowl?
thing for the voting. Like it's like you like walk up and you like put your paper on the bowl.
Bingo?
Yeah, also the bingo.
Pope bingo?
Cardinal bingo.
Cardinal bingo.
I didn't-
Cardinal
And if you
bingo.
win
Yeah,
bingo,
I
you
was
become
like,
Pope.
There was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
if you gave me like a list of like, okay, James, you need to give me like 5 different ways that you think the popes vote for stuff. I don't think wooden balls with their names on it would have come up in the first 100 things that I said.
But no, I don't get that. Were there two?
The
what's
ball,
the ball?
as once
Does that
you
have a name
vote,
on
you
it?
The
put
ball
your,
is
yeah,
their
it's basically
name.
like, so like as soon as you vote, you like put the ball on the thing and then they can look in like that like grid and be like, oh, this person didn't vote yet.
What's the card?
The card is who they vote for.
Oh, but the ball.
The vote
has
is
your
Vote
anonymous.
is anonymous.
Yeah, the
so
vote is
basically
technically
what happens
anonymous.
is it tells you like who hasn't
Oh.
voted yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because you like you basically go
Oh.
pick up your ball again. No, this could not be it, but this is the only way I could fathom. Is you pick up the ball with your name on it, and you walk over the bowl. You put the ball in the bowl, and then you write on like you have your name written on the card, or like whoever's name you're voting for. You put it down, you say your prayer, and then you drop it in like.
Yeah,
What was he sewing into the
He
card?
puts
that's to keep
Yeah.
track of
So you-
who's.
So you
gets
don't
what
count it
votes.
twice. So it's basically like you put it on the sewing thing. So it's like through the cards. You would never count that one twice.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
I wonder what they do with
They
those
burn
cards.
'em.
They know that there's only 77 votes. Why not just like have the person leave the room after they vote and be like, okay, TikTok, like your time's running
Probably
up.
because
Get your vote
Or
in.
just use the
if I'm gonna be
computer.
honest, it's probably because they did it like 1,000 years ago, and this is just how they do it. You know?
I don't know if anyone. I mean, I didn't fact check this. I don't even know if that is accurate. I don't think that there's much reporting on how they do it. I know it's a very secretive process,
Mm-hmm.
and no camera has ever been inside of the scrutiny. I think is what they
the
called it.
sacristy.
So
No,
no,
scrutiny.
the scrutiny is like the vote. So who knows? That might not be how they do it. It might be how they do it, but I don't think there's any actual
Evidence of how they do it, or like what the actual. Maybe there is like online. I would imagine that maybe like there's someone that like was a retired like. What do they call the what is the guard called? So it's an F.
papal
No,
card.
it's like. I think
There's
it's
like
like a. Wait, hold on. I think it's like the.
The funny suit
No,
man.
hold on.
Yeah, the
Guard at
jesters.
Vatican name. Sorry for the clicky clacky keyboard. It's the Swiss Guard, is what they're called. I was like, it's definitely a country that's not like Rome or in Italy, or Italy.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have to be Swedish?
No, I don't think.
Or wait.
Do you know Swiss are not from Sweden?
Ooh.
Oh my god.
That was so genuine.
Oh my god, that was just a very genuine, stupid.
Listen, I do that all the time, so.
People are trusting us with
I can't
their
believe
opinions.
I had the fucking shitty geography comment out of all people.
Out of
on
all
this
people.
Sacramento is in Canada. Facts.
For those of you who don't know, James has no
Where anything
idea
is.
where anything is on a globe.
Ever.
Obviously, I don't either now, but James
Yeah.
really doesn't. So I'm just going to redirect my fuck
Yeah,
up
100%.
at James.
100%. Listen, I don't consider myself a dumb person, but like if you have like points in like what you're good at, it's like math is like super high for me, and geography I just kind of like took all those and put it in math. So
You took
I was
all
like, I
those
got
skill
Google Maps. Who
points out
needs
of
it?
there.
You know.
Oh, I was gonna say something about. Oh, you know what? Is anybody else super just like intrigued by like the Catholic Church? Like, however you feel about Catholicism and like the Vatican and all that.
How
But
nice their
it's
summer
so
homes are.
Well, yeah, he had a dope summer home, but also the Vatican is like crazy.
Yeah, super cool.
And like just like huge and like weird and like they don't talk to anybody. Here's another episode of Kevin's crazy conspiracy theories, but it's not really a conspiracy theory. But like, how much does the Pope know about what? You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense at all? Like, how much does he know, and how much does he know about like what certain things? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I actually
I
have
have
to hear about
no
that too,
idea
because
what
like
you're talking. Because what you're saying is like all general like words. You're like, he knows about the stuff, right? And I'm like, no.
no, what he's saying is when he becomes Pope, does he get some sort of like special intelligence briefing? He's like, okay, here's where the aliens are. Here's how much we talked to them. Here's what they're
not.
saying. But
Here's where Jesus is. Right now. Like,
do you guys think that the Pope is actually like a busy man?
I thought about that too while I was watching the movie, Joe. I literally had the exact same thought. Like, what's he do all day? Is
Literally.
it like, dude?
He walks the garden, gets his 10,000 steps in.
I love that.
Maybe pray a couple times.
I had the exact thought of like a pope, and I shit you not. Like, I literally sat there and thought, like, does the Pope like wake up and he's like, I got a busy day today. Like, I got a lot of stuff to do. Like, I got to make decisions. Like, that's what I could only think of, is that this guy just has to sit and make decisions about things. all
But
day.
that's the thing. What decisions do you have to make? It's literally the oldest tradition.
Yeah, but like there's like people,
historical-
like whenever there's people involved, you have to plan, right? Like you have to be like, oh, we need to do this here, we need to do that there, we need to send this way. Like we're having issues. Like he's got to go visit this place because this like.
I don't think those things are getting to his desk every day.
He's also old.
I think occasionally.
Like he's an old man. You know what I
He's-
mean?
yeah, he's not traveling
Yeah.
that much.
I mean, they travel a lot.
I feel like the only decision I have seen been made in the Catholic Church, like with my own eyes, being raised in a Catholic family, was them changing back to the
And with your spirit.
what do you call it? The readings, yeah. So for anybody who might be listening who did not grow up in the Catholic Church, when you go to church, there's a book and it's got all the readings and prayers and what you say during church in that book. And there's all these different prayers you say during church. And one day they changed the whole translation from its original Latin. Like, it was translated to English, and then they translated it back to Latin, and then they translated it back to English again, which changed everything in there. And
It
then
used to
that's when
be,
I
like-
left the Catholic Church, because I couldn't say anything in church.
It used to be like when the priest would be like, "Oh, peace be with you." You would say like,
And
"And
also,
also
with you.
with you." And now it's with your spirit. So it's like stupid little things. They're like, what are they really congregating about and meeting to change? Like, this is
Right.
not important issues to change. This is
It's
just like, okay, the Pope hasn't worked in 20 years. Let's give him something to
Well,
do.
I feel like that's like a thing too.
Like Mr. Pope.
Mr. Pope,
Like, go ahead,
Dr.
James, I'm
Pope.
sorry. No, I was gonna say, like, hey, like, Mr. Pope, like, we got a couple things we got to talk about today. Top of the list, a lot of people want us to figure out this whole molesting thing, but also on the list is how should we translate, like, the Bible? And the Pope goes, like,
Pope goes, and with your spirit.
and they're like,
and they go, yeah.
yeah.
Tomorrow
Yeah,
we'll talk
yes.
about the other one.
No longer
Yeah.
be and with you, it's now and with
Yeah.
your spirit.
That'll fix
Oh
everything.
my god. Yeah, dude, I 100% agree. I think it's like one of those things. I think they had some kind of council that like basically did a readaptation of like something. I don't know.
The Vatican Convention. Is
Something
it
like
was
that. Yeah,
called, or
it's
the-
like a Vatican Council or something like that. You know, somebody again.
It's like the Geneva Convention. but it's just-
Vatican 2021. You got a bunch of people like cosplaying as the Pope.
Dude, we can talk about how the Pope and the Cardinals get to wear the coolest
Agreed.
fucking hats
Agreed.
out there.
yeah.
Agreed.
How about that one-liner when he was like, "Oh, the Pope likes his cardinals to dress like cardinals." He goes, "Do you have an extra cardinal hat for me?"
Oh my gosh. That was so funny.
Pope Francis is
He was
a
so
savage.
funny. I
He's
loved
funny
it.
as hell.
Like the end where they're watching soccer, I was like, this is like for some reason
Oh, that was the
biggest
best
payoff
scene.
of the whole movie. I'm like, that's awesome. They just like hang out sometimes. You know what I mean?
That's what the slow burn was all for.
100%. It's definitely a slow burn movie.
The World
I think
Cup.
it comes to like it's like it does turn into like a feel good movie. Like it's like a history movie that kind of turns into like a, you know, they explain.
Let's speak of the history though
Yeah.
for a little bit. What did you guys think? Like, to me, I thought they spent a little bit too much time on the Argentinian revolutions and wars in history, because there was a while that like I think it was probably 20 minutes straight
Yeah.
that were in this flashback, and I thought it was a little much. But what do you guys think about that?
I enjoyed like that kind of history brief because I didn't know that about Pope Francis. Like a lot of the stuff they talk about in the movie about Pope Francis and his views and all that, like I knew about, but I didn't know like what he went through, like growing up through the church and like his life. So I thought it was interesting. I did think it was a little confusing. Just because it seemed like they were trying to get through it as quickly as they could, even though it took like 25 minutes. It did seem a little confusing. Like, I was kind of tripped up, like, wait, what's he doing? But I thought it was interesting. I thought it helped with his character a little bit.
It definitely adds more
even though it's-
drama, which
yeah,
I feel like
yeah.
was lacking because it's a true story that was so publicized, but
Yeah.
this aspect.
I
was
definitely
not.
think though, Joey, I agree with you that I think it went on for like a little too long. Like I could have used like basically like I loved the scenes that like show him like his decision, like he was engaged to somebody and then decided to go to the church and like how that like I liked that whole aspect of it because it seemed like, you know, he gets it. You know what I mean? Like he lived his life and thought he was going to be a priest.
It humanizes him
agreed,
again, as you
agreed.
said.
And then like it also like it brings it, and it brings. I liked that aspect, and then I did like the like him having to like make really hard decisions and like screw over some of his own priests to like try to preserve and protect as many people as he could.
Well-
but like I feel like there could have been some
So-
exposition. Like I feel like that like
Do you think he screwed them over? Because I think he did everything he could to protect them, and he was like working as an inside man almost, and not like, oh, I'm going to stand up to this war admiral who is killing
Yeah.
people left and right. Because why would he listen to
Yeah,
me?
well,
type of
he-
thing. Like
he asked them
I
to
think did
abandon
the
people.
smartest thing
You know what I mean?
possible.
He asked them to abandon people, which is like it's you're abandoning people so that you can help other people, but you're also asking like priests to abandon people, and like it's a hard.
So to me, I
Yep.
didn't pick it up as abandonment. It was more of like let these people go home, let them pretend whatever they have to pretend to live.
Yeah,
It wasn't like. Sorry, you can go, Kev.
No, I was just gonna say at least the way I interpreted it, that he was just stuck between like a rock and hard place. Like it was like a lose-lose, right? Like to your point, Joe, he was just telling them like, you guys are in danger here. Everybody's in danger here. Like go home. Like get out of here. And they were like, no, we have to keep doing our mission of like whatever the school or the library was. Like they just felt devout to it, and then he suspended them, which also
Like, condemned
got
them.
them in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I do get that as a calling, like it's something you take to death and you will die for. But in such extreme circumstances, I feel like you do have to realize that you're not. Martyrs only go so far. Like, you can do so much more alive.
You're
than
gonna
can
do you're gonna
dead.
do a lot more good as a living priest than a martyr. You know, because especially like
Exactly.
at least is what they were explaining. Like, it seemed like they were killing people left and right. You know, like
Yeah.
being
I was shocked that he was able to get that close
Agreed.
to the admiral and remain alive.
yeah.
So
Really, it's messed up, man. Like it's and like it's he's
Mm-hmm.
put in an almost impossible situation. You know what I mean? Where it's like he feels like you want to honor your values and you want to do the most good. You know what I mean? But you also want to like. So you want I don't think what the decision he made was selfish. Like, I don't think he was trying to protect himself. I do think he was trying to protect other people. But like the issue is like it's like the whatever it's called the bus like. The train car scenario where it's like you're about to run into like 3 people, and if you shift you're gonna hit one person, you know what I mean? But if you
shift, that one person is now your mom.
yeah,
So
and it's like and you
yeah.
take responsibility because you shifted, you know what I mean? So it's like
Mm-hmm.
you know, you're damned if you do. There's no good option. Yeah,
There's no right
agreed.
answer, and
Yeah.
I think that's what Pope Benedict was trying
Mm-hmm.
to tell him, that he is human, he's not God, and he
Yeah,
did what
I
he
do
could,
think
so.
they could have brought that in a little. You know what I mean? Because I feel like
Mm-hmm.
additionally, like they did a lot of like he would talk about it very briefly because it was like a obviously sore subject for him, and then like they would do like 5 minutes of like backstory.
Yeah.
But I do think some of that could have been exposition. You know what I mean? Like even just some of the explanation. I do think it was a very powerful part of the movie, but I agree it went on a little too long. Can we talk about like some of the so this is just a completely so we've been talking about a lot of like deep stuff. I feel like this podcast specifically, and like can we talk about the camera, the shaky camera? Did anyone notice that?
Yeah. I noticed that instantly, and I was very
Yeah, I didn't
annoyed by
understand that. I was like, it reminded.
the extreme fast zoom ins and the shakiness.
Yeah, I was like, is this like a reality
the
TV
running
show?
around, I was
Like,
yeah. Which
I-
that
ahead,
to me
Joe.
added to the Curb Your Enthusiasm vibes, where it did feel almost like Cinema Veritas, where it wasn't like perfectly cut and clean and edited, and it was kind of like, oh, we're actually like in the moment, we're capturing like live footage, which it obviously wasn't, but I think that's what they were trying to go for, was like more authentic vibe.
There was a shot of Pope Benedict, and the way that they were that it was shot, it literally was like something out of like a 2010 like action movie. Like the scene, it's when he's lighting the candle and the smoke is going like the wrong way, and it's like kind of angled. Like here, let me see if I can do it with my camera, like this. You know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about? Like, you know those
Yeah.
2011 action shots where it's on its angle like this, and it's just like, why is it angled
Yeah.
like that?
You
There
mean
was one
Thor?
point in the movie, and I was like, yeah, exactly. Literally, it was like shots from
Yeah.
Thor. Like every shot in Thor is like
yeah,
like
On an
tweaked
angle,
on
or
an
low
angle.
or twisted.
Yeah. It's like
yeah.
a rhombus. And I was like,
Yeah.
what? Like, why?
Yeah, why'd you do
why
this?
is this
There was a
happening?
zoom in. I can't remember what he said, but there was a zoom in on Pope Benedict's face, and I was like, "That is like it." That ripped me out of the movie. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That fast
Yes.
zoom in,
Yeah.
I know exactly.
Yes. I thought he was gonna drop a bomb there and
No,
like,
he was
say
just like talking
something
about
crazy,
pizza or
but
something.
then yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought that was
Yeah.
very.
Well, I think I think I outwardly was like, because I watched it with my girlfriend Alex as well. I think I literally was like, what the fuck? Like, you know, because it went like.
It was very jarring and like takes you out. And they always say like a good editor will make you not realize that there was editing done, and this was not that. Which they weren't nominated for their editing, but
What were they nominated for?
Very good.
I'm sorry. They were nominated, right?
yes, best actor for Jonathan
Yeah.
Pryce, best supporting actor for Anthony Hopkins, and then best adapted screenplay
Is this a screenplay?
for
What is it
Anthony
adapted from?
McCartan. Yeah, anything that's based off of true events or
Oh.
real life is considered adapted screenplay.
Interesting. I didn't
also
know
didn't
that.
know that.
I thought it was just
See,
books.
Joey knows stuff about
No,
movies.
it's best adapted versus best an original screenplay is something that was never thought of before. Adapted is anything that's based off of
Smart
something
guy,
else.
Joey.
Doesn't have to be a book.
I wonder, you know how like a lot of movies, sorry, I'm sidetracking now, but you know how like a lot of movies like have like Shakespeare in them? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like She's the Man is
The Lion King.
Yeah, exactly. Are those technically adapted screenplays then?
No, because those are taking themes from popular, from Shakespeare, but they're not necessarily taking.
The story.
Yeah, the names are different.
They're
the
lions.
Location's different. Lions.
I don't know though.
She's
if
a girl
she's,
playing
if
a
she's
boy.
the man, if she's the man.
Is that the one with like Amanda Bynes?
There are names in that. Yeah, that is with Amanda Bynes. There are names in that are from the Shakespeare play. What is that, A Twelfth Night or something?
Did you guys ever watch the movie? All right, this is completely fucking off topic. But you guys ever watch the movie R and J or R and Julia or whatever? It was like a zombie movie, but it was legitimately like Romeo and Juliet, but like a zombie movie. Do you guys ever watch that movie?
No.
It's dumb. It's a stupid movie. I just didn't know if I was alone. I've definitely watched that movie more than once.
You're definitely alone. Yeah, you're definitely alone.
Never mind.
What is
it's
it
called?
called?
Like R and J or something. It's definitely. I remember it. The main character is like a stupid pun that like the main character guy is a zombie named R, and then like the girl's name's Julia, and I'm just.
Oh, wait, are you talking about
That's
Warm
what it
Bodies?
is. Yeah.
Oh, I have heard of Warm
I heard that
Bodies.
wasn't.
It's
like,
not the worst movie.
in
It's
the
just
world.
super corny. Like it's not a bad movie. Again,
Yeah.
I watched it twice, so like it's not a terrible movie.
And when he says twice, he means 4
it
times.
does look like the worst movie.
I mean, I
in the
never
world,
watched that
actually.
movie before.
That's
All right,
that's the dude from the dude who throws the spear.
there's
in
there's actually a
Hunger
lot of really famous actors in the movie. All right, let's take it back to Two Popes. So
Games. Oh, John Malkovich is in that movie. I'm sorry. Go
back
on,
to Two Popes. How
There
did
he
we
is.
even get there? I don't.
James, I don't
I
know
don't
where
know.
your brain takes
It's
us most
late.
of the time.
You know, I don't know.
Also, I'm just learning that what is this? Zombies premiere? On
All right,
Disney?
Kevin,
Okay,
Kevin,
let's go
Kevin,
back to
Kevin,
the
come
podcast
here.
that we're
Let's
recording.
go.
Hey,
We're doing a
Sorry,
podcast
talk
right
about
now.
talk about the Popes.
I don't know. I really liked the acting of both popes was like spot on. Like I know we talked about like the one that played Bergoglio, but even the one that played Pope Benedict, I felt like played like Anthony Hopkins when he what's it called, when he did his whole like diatribe about like how he's honestly not well and like he's getting worse and he's not fit to be pope. Like he looked like an old he's like well, you know, he looks like an old man. And even when they did, I loved the whole dancing thing, like when Bergoglio kind of like grabs him and like dances with him.
Tango.
Because that's like his version of like, because there's this whole point like when Anthony Hopkins basically starts to play the piano for Pope Francis, and it's like this really like it's they don't come together, and like he really compliments him on his like playing, and it's like who it almost makes you think like who would you have been, you know what I mean, if you weren't Pope or you didn't go into like the papacy, you know, like what would you have done, you know, and like what
like if Hitler was accepted into our school, what would have happened?
yeah. Probably a lot better. But what's it called? No, it's just interesting, you know, because I feel like that's like a thing that like not only like you don't have to be a pope to understand that feel, you know what I mean? Like, because I feel like people like, especially like when you get like far enough in your career that like you have like a pipe dream and like you have a talent, but like it doesn't necessarily correlate to like a career, like, you know, it's just something that you do for fun, and you might actually have like a spark, or you might be really good at it, but it's like you just had a different calling, you know what I mean? It's interesting, you know.
Like us making this podcast?
I was thinking the same exact thing.
No, but Kevin, this is gonna work out.
I wouldn't
This
call
is
this
gonna
a
work out.
calling, though.
No, it's just like I don't know. It's cool to think about. It made me think. Like I feel like this movie, like it was a fun movie. It was fairly lighthearted. Like there were definitely a lot of heavy topics. You know what I mean? But it was like from the aspect of like the popes and like their like back and forths, it was relatively lighthearted, and at the end it did kind of feel like you ended in a good spot. You know what I mean? Like you did ultimately get that more progressive pope. Like the world is changing to be much more like to help with a lot of the hurt. You know what I mean? That happened before.
There's more hope for modern
Agreed.
change and
Yeah.
progressive change now.
And it also
than
helps the
was.
church. You know what I mean? Like in the 21st century, you got to change. You know, it just shrinks. And like there was
Adapt or die.
There was a quote in
Yeah.
the beginning of the movie that was like, "Welcome to." It was like Cardinal Martini was talking to Cardinal Bergoglio, and he was basically saying. The thing about like he's like welcome to Europe. The thing about Europe is we have beautiful churches but nobody to fill them. You know what I mean? And it's like because like apparently Europe is like a declining very fast in like their Catholic.
Their atheism numbers are growing rapidly, more rapidly.
Yeah,
than
and they have the
anywhere
oldest
in the world.
churches in the world, or like not the oldest churches, but like the oldest Catholic churches in the world. You know?
Yeah, there was also another great one-liner where Pope Benedict tells a joke and Pope Francis doesn't laugh, and he goes, "It's a German joke. It doesn't have to be funny."
No, I immediately thought of South Park.
South
when
Park,
he
yep.
said that.
The
yeah,
least funny
when,
people.
I am funny.
yeah, I am funny about. The line is a non sequitur.
Okay, I think we are running out of
Agreed.
time. Any final thoughts before we go into our decisions?
I think I'm good. I think I rambled for way too long.
As usual.
I want a Pope hat.
What?
I said I want
get you
a
a
Pope
Pope
hat.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so James, we'll start with you. Are you pressing play or are you
I
keep
definitely
scrolling?
press play. This is a good movie. This isn't just like a good movie just because you have Netflix. Like this is a good movie. I think you'll enjoy it even if you aren't religious. It's a little bit of a slow burn. Stick with it. It'll pay off in the end.
Okay, Kev.
I'm hitting play on this one. I thought it was a good watch. It's interesting. You just got to be in the right, the right mood to watch it. You know, it's not just gonna be one that you scroll by and you're like, I want to watch that. But if you're in for some really good acting, like a really good show of acting and an interesting story, I'm hitting play.
Yeah, I'm going to go off of that and say this is a great, safe family movie to watch when, you don't want to have those awkward sex scenes or cursing and you never know what you're going to get into. Like, this is the movie to watch with your family. It's going to be entertaining. It's going to be great acting. And I'm going to kind of go into my dating advice tip for the end of the episode. I wouldn't recommend this for a date night movie.
That's true. That's true.
So, depends on the situation for this one, but I would recommend watching it at some point. Just make sure it is the right timing.
Agreed.
All right, so
And-
dating advice: don't watch Two Popes with the person you date.
Wouldn't really set the mood, I would say.
Depends on
Unless
the-
you're looking to leave your fiance to join the monastery.
What a crazy final date night! I want to. Hey, that was a good movie. Speaking of,
See ya.
Join the seminary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's
You
some
guys know-
flowers, though.
Did you guys know that most of my my dad's aunts and uncles were nuns
Really?
and priests?
I think I
Or
did know
nuns.
that.
My-
I knew you had a couple
Yeah.
nuns as aunts, or
My grandfather left the seminary, or didn't he? Decided not to go, or he left the seminary. So I exist by a stroke of luck.
You
Like-
inverse Bergoglio. He was like, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
not by the act of God
Yes.
to exist. Okay, well, there you have it. We have 3 plays with an asterisk, and that is The Two Popes. Thank you for listening, and we will be back next time with another
Like,
movie.
comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you want to see down in those comments.
Smash that like.
Smash
button.
that subscribe button.
That's so ironic and gross.
Okay. And hilarious. Okay,
See ya.
see everybody.